as an opportunity to get back to the community, and we've got Kent County we're very fortunate. We have very good law enforcement, and we're very fortunate that we have a fairly low crime rate. But we do have a drug problem, a serious drug problem. And I saw this as an opportunity to step in. I feel like I have the skills to go into that position and sort of bring a new brand or breed of leadership. And nothing I say should be construed as a criticism toward the current state's attorney. But as time moves on, there's change is good. And this isn't about what he has or hasn't done. It's more like, well, what can I do to bring to the table, and what kind of changes would benefit the operation of that office and to better serve the citizens of Kent County. I'm not going to sit here and tell you I know all the answers, because I don't. But I do have some specific ideas as to hopefully curbing the drug problem, particularly the heroin problem, because it's like 90%, 95% of the crime that's committed in this county is somehow tied back to either drug use or drug distribution, and we've got to do something different to see if we can't curb the problem. So the state's attorney has the keys to the courthouse, essentially, and the police can make all the arrests they want, but if they don't have the appropriate evidence, and if the cases aren't presented to the court in an appropriate manner, then you're not going to get the conviction. Or if that's not necessarily what you're looking for, but you're looking to extract some sort of remedy from the wrongdoer, then you need to have a state's attorney who is experienced in trial work and can work with law enforcement. And so, for starters, I think the one thing that the state's attorney needs to do is to look at every single case that comes in on the day it comes in and look for weaknesses, problems, whatever it might be, just to eyeball that and make sure that everything's been appropriately done. And if not, to go back to the law enforcement, law officers, and say, look, gee, you need to go speak to this witness, or we need to do a little more investigation on certain aspects. Get our ducks in a row earlier on. I've been in private practice for 26 years, and I've been involved in management of the law offices I've been with for almost as long, except maybe when I just started. And I sort of see, going from a private sector standpoint, I sort of see a value of going into that office and at least running the administration similar to a private practice, and have a disciplined approach to the timing of how cases are handled. I mean, when a case comes in, the day it comes in, I'm pretty much tearing everything apart and looking at it. And that's the way I sort of see how, at least if I were a state's attorney, that's how it's going to be done, because that's the way I know how to do it. My approach to sentencing and getting convictions is look, we're not going to solve the problem by arresting everybody and throwing them in jail, particularly first-time offenders or if they're users. I mean, America is all about second chances, but there also has to be, it's a two-way street, and there needs to be some improvement on the behavior of the wrongdoer if they're going to get a break. So let me make that clear. But so I am committed to trying to get people who have been doing heroin or are addicted to heroin into treatment. We are a little bit hamstrung here locally because of the lack of long-term, not long-term, but inpatient facilities. We're very limited into that, and the courts are limited to that because it's either, if there's no inpatient facility to send someone to, then it's either they got to do it, they do it on their own through the programs that are available that aren't inpatient, or they send them to jail. And so, and that's not a good, sending them to jail isn't the solution, except in cases where it's just it's time after time after time, and they're not flying straight. People say, "Oh, it's a victimless crime; they're only hurting themselves." But that's not true. They're committing robberies to get the money. They're people who are embezzling money from their employers. They scare people. The man or woman on the street who sees someone who's strung out, that's a problem. I think it's a quality of life issue. Just a couple weeks ago, someone found a used needle on their front yard, and can you imagine if your grandchild or child stepped on one of those things? I mean, so it is. It is a problem. The heroin situation in particular is really a health crisis, public health crisis. Unfortunately, the politicians have not come to grasp with that and have really left it to the law enforcement and the courts to clean up this mess for us. And the law enforcement are limited in what they can do, and so are the courts. And it goes back to this problem: if you don't have inpatient, you either let the guy go or let the lady go and do it on their own through services, or you throw them in jail. That's not a solution. I think Mr. Murphy is a fine lawyer and a gentleman, and is a good candidate, a worthy opponent. I think I bring a more experience, a more broader experience to the table. And I've practiced in Virginia for 10 years, Northern Virginia, D.C. I did trials in many courts in Virginia. I've done many trials in Maryland and in the District of Columbia. So I sort of have not that he hasn't. I mean, I guess he's talked about done courts all over Maryland. That's fine. But I do have a broad experience, and I've done practice in different areas of the law. I've been in federal court. I've done bankruptcy work. I've done UCC work, Uniform Commercial Code. I've worked on major transactions. I've involved in major commercial litigation cases. I've done the CINA work. I feel like I bring a broad experience to the table. I believe I'm the right candidate based on my track record as a trial lawyer over 26 years, my proven leadership skills, and my ability to listen to people and bring people together. Because I think that's what, more than anything else, the state's attorney needs, the next state's attorney needs to do for Kent County.